tell me how it is possible that half of the year is gone already. Well, in my case, 7 months of the year gone already. I can't believe it. I opened my camera roll and I was just going through videos and videos without end in my phone, and I was like, wow. I just burst into this bubble of happiness and gratitude, not because everything is perfect or it was all put in a perfect manner. No, but because there has been so many beautiful things that have happened in my life whilst I was waiting for something big to happen. But also the irony of it is that the highlight of the year for me is that I went to Zimbabwe. I've always wanted to go to Zimbabwe with my family, and we did. I have managed to immerse myself in nature and get in touch with myself when times are like, when my mind is congested, and I've gone to nature and just offload. I've managed to go to the beach several times. I've managed to go and just let it loose, just let be free. I've managed to come back to a clean home. I've managed to eat every single day without jumping any day. I've managed to go to sleep and wake up alive. I've managed to journal. I've managed to do my Bible study, not consistently, but I have. So what really is life? What really is happiness? Taking a moment to reflect and going through all these videos, having all these emotions. Somebody asked me, why YouTube? And I was like, why not YouTube? Because it is the source of accountability for me. It is the source, a kick on me to take all these videos, because there is like that one moment or that one day that you go out or that you do things with your family, and you barely remember it until you get into your phone. And we've got the tendency of taking pictures and videos that we never ever go back to. So I've seen my life through the lens of 6 months, and I've been in awe. There's so many beautiful things that happen, but we tend to look on the positives and the what ifs and the things that we could have done and done better. But what about the things that you did? What about the things that God did for you? Take a minute to pause and reflect on that, because I did. And I saw the greatness of God in my life, and I was like, wow. Because many a times we wait for grandiose things to happen, like having a big wedding, giving birth to a child, or getting a degree, or flying out of the country, having a nice vacation, having a good relationship, like that is all over like the newspapers and stuff. But what about the mundane that happens every day? You woke up today, went downstairs, made a coffee, come back, did your Bible study, did your planning, and you went to work and came back alive. There are times when we go to the beach and just immerse ourselves like in the moment and put our feet in the sand and get to read a book as our children play and we watch them and all that. Those are little beautiful moments. What is life anyway? I realized that life is what is happening when you're waiting for a grandiose thing to happen. Life is what happens in a little million miracles every single day. If I had put all the videos that I have together for the past 6 months, honestly, it would be like you'd be here all day. But I would want to challenge you today, right now, to go into your camera roll and see all the good things. You might not be taking videos like I do, but pictures, and look since February, since January, and look at the things that have happened in your life. Your life is beautiful after all. My life is beautiful after all. It has always been. So I want you to take a moment and look into your life and reflect. Reflect on the things that you wanted and that have happened, and the things that would have happened in a different way, but you still can do it the other end of the year, the other side of the year. And 2026 won't be so bad to you after all. It isn't so bad to you after all. Maybe you can go for, maybe you've been in a dump and you've gone, there are moments when you've taken a video when you felt pretty, or when you went out and had a drink or had a cake or anything. Those are the beautiful moments of life that we should cherish. Many a times something happens once. Somebody said, if you do something that you do once in a lifetime, you can't afford it. What about the things that you afford every day? I'm challenging you to go and reflect as much as I was. And I hope you enjoy this vlog with me, because this is a collective vlog, and well, there's no context. It might seem like there's no context to it, but the voiceover will tell you what it is about, and you will see that there's context after all. I hope you enjoy, and I hope you get time to reflect on how beautiful God has been to you and how beautiful your life has been. Enjoy, and thank you for watching. Half the year is already gone, and there's something strange about reaching the middle of a year. We spend so much time looking forward to January every year, making plans, setting goals, imagining who we're going to become. And then suddenly, we're here 6 months later, wondering where the time went. Sometimes I think about how many different versions of my life could have been written, how many different versions of yours could have been written too. We can spend so much time comparing the life we have with the life we thought we would have, that we forget to appreciate the life that actually happened and the grace that can be found in it. That is one of the reasons why I wanted to look back through the footage I've taken over the past 6 months, not because I wanted to make a highlight reel of everything I've accomplished, but because sometimes you don't realize you've been living through your life, an important chapter, until you stop and look at it from the other side. So, a random morning, a meal with my family, a day out, a trip, a conversation, little moments I filmed without thinking much about them at the time. But when you put all these moments together, they start telling a story that you were probably too busy living to notice. And I think that's what reflection is really for. Not just asking, what did I achieve, but asking what was happening in me. What did this season teach me? What did it expose? What did I outgrow? What did I have to surrender? What did I keep trying to control? What did I become more grateful for? And perhaps more importantly, where did I see God in all of it? Yeah, because sometimes we have such a narrow definition of progress. We know how to measure money, qualifications, houses, holidays, promotions, and milestones. We can make a list and tick things off. But how do you measure becoming more patient? How do you measure learning to forgive? How do you measure becoming softer without becoming weaker? How do you measure learning to sit with uncertainty without immediately trying to fix everything? How do you even measure becoming a woman who responds differently because she has grown differently? Those things rarely make it into a vision board, but they might be some of the most important things that happen to us. When I look back at these 6 months, I can see the things I had prayed about that I almost forgot I had asked God for. And I wanted to return home to Zimbabwe, and I did. I wanted my children to experience new places and make memories, and they did. I wanted more intentional time with my family. I wanted to slow down, love more, create a home that felt like ours, and feel more present in my own life. And what strikes me is that while I was waiting for the bigger things, life was quietly answering some of the smaller prayers. And I think we sometimes imagine answered prayers as something grandiose, something dramatic. That big email, that phone call, the new house, the breakthrough, the opportunity that changes everything. But what if some prayers are answered so quietly that we don't even recognize them as answers? So what if an ordinary Tuesday you overlooked was something you once prayed for? What if being able to sit around the table with the people you love is something a previous version of you would have considered a miracle? Looking back has also made me realize how often I move the goalpost as a person or myself.
I reached something I once wanted, and almost immediately I'm thinking about the next thing. I achieved something, and instead of allowing myself to enjoy it, I start measuring what I haven't done yet. I think many of us do this, especially as women. We are very good at noticing the gap between where we are and where we think we should be, but not always as good at noticing how far we've already traveled. So perhaps one of the questions worth asking halfway through the year isn't simply what have I accomplished. Maybe it is what have I survived, learned, changed, released, or become. Maybe you didn't keep every promise you made to yourself in January. I certainly didn't. But does that mean the year has been wasted? Maybe you started something that still matters, and even if you didn't do it perfectly, maybe you became more honest with yourself. Maybe you started setting a boundary. Maybe you admitted something wasn't working. Maybe you became more intentional with your children. Maybe you took better care of yourself, and maybe you returned to God after drifting. Maybe you simply began again. And I think we underestimate the significance of beginning again. There's something about faith that continually reminds me that God is not as obsessed with the performance of my life as I sometimes am. I can become so focused on doing enough, achieving enough, and moving quickly enough that I forget I'm a person before I'm a project.
Appreciate the fact that I can sit down with myself, with my thoughts, and thrive. I'm so grateful for that privilege, because sometimes we don't have it. Not everybody gets it. We're always looking for someone to talk to, like in person, and are afraid to be alone. But I'm so grateful that I've reached a point where I can just sit with my thoughts and not tumble in my thoughts as well, but go about my business as per usual. I like the silence, considering that I'm a mom of 2 toddlers and they're always on my case. So when I get pockets of I can't call it freedom, because that doesn't sound right, but pockets of time where I can be with myself for a minute or two, doing a thing or two, I really appreciate it.
So yeah, I don't want to look back at the first half of this year and only see what I failed to finish. I want to ask God, I want to ask what God was doing in me while I was busy worrying about what I was doing for myself. Maybe there were things that didn't happen because I wasn't ready for them. Maybe there were doors I wanted that wouldn't have been good for me. Maybe some prayers required a different answer than the one I was hoping for. So why not look at the things that really happened and appreciate those, because they made me by this end of the year, or by the half of the year now. I don't want to romanticize disappointment or pretend everything has been easy. Some things hurt, some things are still unresolved, some prayers are still prayers. But faith gives me permission to look at unfinished stories without assuming that God has forgotten it. Learning that not every unfinished dream is a failed dream. Sometimes we become impatient with ourselves because we think that if something hasn't happened by a certain age, date, or season, we must be behind. But perhaps some things are still taking shape. Perhaps there are parts of us that need to grow before the life we're asking for can be carried well. Perhaps the waiting isn't empty. I don't always know, and honestly, I'm becoming more comfortable with not knowing. There was a time when I wanted every unanswered question to become an immediate plan. If something wasn't working, I wanted to fix it. If I felt uncertain, I wanted certainty. But faith sometimes means continuing to walk without having the whole map. So when I look back at these 6 months, I'm not only looking for evidence that I succeeded, I'm looking for evidence that I was present, that I loved, that I showed up, that I laughed, that I made memories, that I tried again and again, that I learned, that I grew, that I allowed myself to change. And then there's gratitude. Not the kind we focus on ourselves to say everything is wonderful when it isn't, but the kind that allows us to hold different feelings at the same time. I can be disappointed about something and still be grateful. I can have unanswered prayers and still trust God. I can want more for my life without believing that the life I have is inadequate. I can say there's still so much I want, whilst also saying, look at how much I've already been given. Both things can exist together. And when I look back through my footage, I see all this and I am grateful. I hope you are too. Long before I had children, I prayed to see my children growing, to have a family, like to see family moments I didn't know I would treasure. I see places I once wanted to visit. I see ordinary days that now feel significant simply because they have passed. And perhaps that's the uncomfortable truth about time. We rarely recognize a moment as precious whilst we're inside it. We usually understand its value once it has become a memory. So I wonder how much of our lives we are currently underestimating. How many prayers have already been answered in ways we've become too accustomed to notice? And how many things have we achieved that we've already moved past because we're too busy looking at what's next? And how much of our present are we sacrificing because we're constantly preparing for a future that hasn't arrived? So I don't want to spend the half of this year doing that. Well, the remaining months doing that. I still have goals. I still have things I want to build. There are things I haven't done yet and things I genuinely hope will happen. I don't think ambition is the enemy of contentment. I think the danger is when ambition convinces us that our present life has no value until it becomes the life we imagined. So perhaps my media restock isn't really about starting over. It's about taking stock.
Are you wearing a graduate's a graduate's shirt? Good girl. We're so happy and excited about her starting reception soon.
So maybe the questions are, what am I carrying that I no longer need? What deserves more of my attention? What have I been taking for granted? What promises did I make to myself that still matter? And perhaps the biggest question is this: if nothing about my life changed dramatically over the next 6 months, would I still be able to recognize the goodness in it? All this goodness. I hope the answer becomes years. And I want to learn how to recognize God in the middle of everything. I want to notice the life I'm actually living while I'm still waiting for the life I imagined. So if you're watching this halfway through the year, maybe don't just look at your unfinished list. Look at your life in all its senses and look at the person you were 6 months ago and ask yourself what has changed in you. And please give yourself permission to celebrate what doesn't look impressive on paper, because this is your life, and the social media has made it that all the grandiose things, that's like the best of our lives. But no, those things don't happen every day. Every little thing that is happening in your mundane, that counts. Maybe you simply made it through a season you weren't sure you would, and that's all that you needed. I hope you will be reminded of how beautiful your life is. Only when you sit still and look back, you realize that you weren't standing still at all. You were becoming, and perhaps that is the gift of looking back. You begin to see what you couldn't see while you were living it. God is faithful. He was faithful from the beginning. Thank you so much for watching.